of things you hold dear, and you. What do you do in a case like that? I mean, a lot of people said, no, you're not going to get me out of my home because all you're trying to do is just kick out all the black people so white people can move in. I'm not leaving, so it gets put in racial terms. And then on the other hand, the head of the New Orleans Chamber of Commerce sure didn't help that argument when he said, oh yeah, we should just condemn this whole area where all the poor black people live, because then we can just take buses of tourists through, show them the devastation of the flood, even show them where Fats Domino's house used to be. What if Fats Domino wants his house back? He wouldn't leave. He nearly died because he wouldn't leave. They found him several days later, and he's one of many people like that. So it's getting very polarized like that, and not that much constructive is getting done. And I don't have a magic solution for this either. What do you do with it? Well, maybe make everybody put their houses back up on stilts or something so the water can come in and go out next time, and only your car's got problems. Then they thought, well, in that case, since Katrina's going to hit again sooner rather than later, thanks to global warming, well, just let the water come in and stay, and then you've got Venice. And then Andrei Codrescu, a radio commentator who's native of Romania but lives in New Orleans, he suggested just letting the water in and having everybody live in houseboats, which is close to a Venice kind of thing, but then another water surge or another hurricane, what happens to those? Kind of like what's going to happen to the FEMA trailers if they get hit again. And in some countries that actually cared about cleaning these things up and had the wherewithal to do it instead of just try to conquer Iraq and fail, you wouldn't even need the trailers anymore. But there's still whole colonies of FEMA trailers left in Florida from earlier hurricanes where people are just stuck there. No place to go, no hope, a lot of domestic violence and meth heads and things going down. And, you know, once they do give you that, then they think their job is done or something, I guess. At least the locals did, amidst all that hell and near nervous breakdowns and all, have some interesting comical moments to offer. Like when the shrimp boat went back out into the Gulf of Mexico to try and get their business going again, catch some shrimp. Oh my God, we caught a cash machine. Or the sheriff, or it was a cop, I can't remember which, surveying a Walmart almost completely stripped bare. Yeah, nothing left here but Shania Twain albums. Even Sum 41 was essential to somebody's survival, but not Shania Twain. And in addition to ghost neighborhoods and ghost towns and ghost docks and things, there were ghost malls as well. And then when darkness fell, as we were heading back out of St. Bernard, oh my God, look, there's a light on. Somebody is reopening the mall. Let's go see who it is. Tattoo shop. Back in business. First thing when nobody else is. And another local sent a little email about trying to get to safety after the flood was high enough. He was kind of wading chest deep through this horrible toxic water that was making his skin kind of itchy and burning, and oil slicks on top, smelling all the gas fumes. Somebody comes up to him, got a light? Yeah, he got very angry when he wouldn't give it to him. But, more to the point, why did FEMA fail so badly? FEMA being Federal Emergency Management Agency, who's in charge of all kinds of natural disaster relief, supposed to do the coordinating if a tornado comes through, a hurricane, a flood, or whatever. And, of course, the head of FEMA was a complete incompetent that Bush just came down there grudgingly a few days after it all went down and, Riley, you're doing a heck of a job. Remember that guy, Michael Brown? His qualification to run one of the most important departments in the whole government, and one that should never be politicized, his qualification was that, well, he was a college roommate of the first crony Bush put in there, and hey, he used to work for the International Arabian Horse Association. What was less widely reported is why he wasn't at the horse place anymore. They fired him for stealing. The perfect qualification for a critically important high-up position in the Bush administration. But actually, it even goes back further than that. Early on, when Reagan got in, they started trying to transform FEMA from a disaster relief organization into a martial law organization. Where Reagan's head in '82, Louis Trifrida, came up with a plan he called Continuity of Government, or COG, and how to implement suspending the Constitution and declaring martial law. And then there was a proposal a couple years later called Rex 84 that wanted to stage mock war games rounding up 400,000 imaginary detainees to see how it officially would work when we started putting in people in camps after declaring martial law because people protested a planned invasion of Nicaragua. The guy who proposed that one was Oliver North. Perhaps you've heard of him. So, about 8 years after that, Daddy Bush is president, and Hurricane Andrew slams into southeast Florida, and oh my God, not just poor people losing their homes, but white people, rich people, financial backers. Oh my God, why is FEMA so incompetent? They can't get anything done. What's wrong? Well, we've got all these lists on who to put in a camp when martial law comes, but we sure as hell don't know how to get you any water. Don't know how to get you any survival supplies. That was how bad it got. Clinton apparently righted the ship and got it going good a little bit when he was there, and he said he even told Bush eye to eye, that's one place you should never politicize, but of course that probably just went into the eyes and out the other side of his head or something. What was also interesting was after Katrina went down, who should the governor of Louisiana, Kathleen Blanco, was freaking out on the air every day trying to figure out what to do, she gets a phone call from Karl Rove, Bush's little political handler, the election fraud meister, attack ad meister, was a Pillsbury Doughboy from hell, basically. And Rove tried to arm twist Blanco into signing over all military authority she had over the state's National Guard and stuff to the Bush administration so they could declare martial law. Experiment with martial law inside the United States, and to her credit, Blanco refused to do it. Which makes me wonder if that has anything to do with another scary story the locals told me, that there were Navy bases, 2 of them, one on each side of the Mississippi River, and both of them were high and dry during the floods, and neither one was used in any way for rescue efforts, or even to take refugees who were getting eaten alive in the Superdome or whatever. Could this possibly have been because Blanco refused to let Bush declare martial law? I don't know, but I have to wonder. Other horror stories that the locals told me were, for example, one guy I met who was came out of the punk scene years ago and was now an architect. He and his brother stole their father's boat in Baton Rouge up the road to go down to New Orleans when all the water was there, thinking they needed to rescue animals. Found a bunch of abandoned people nearly a week after the fact instead. But he said what really galled him, and he was having a hard time controlling his anger just talking to me 6 months later, was contrary to what I had thought, is that there were so many helicopters down there plucking people off of roofs that they had trouble not crashing into each other. Wrong, he says. He only saw one going back and forth and back and forth, and that was the only one working.